Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Cancer that happens on the 29th of June 2022. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today as always. And the chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon is going to take place. I'm going to have a look at the relationships the planets form with one another, what energy that brings up, and how you can then use that energy to your advantage. So that's the whole point of these videos, is to try and understand what the planets are doing and what opportunities they give you during these major events. So this new moon is going to take place at 3:52 in the morning, and that's based on Central European time. So if you're in Europe or in Africa, it'll happen at that time. If you're east of Europe, in Asia or Australia, it'll happen later on in the day. And if you're west of Europe, it'll happen late in the evening on the 28th of June. I always mention this, but please don't get too hung up on the timings around this. It's a gradual process. So the moon moves quite quickly. It's waning as we speak, and it's moving towards the sun. As we get closer to the new moon, and when the new moon actually happens, we'll feel this energy most intensely, but it's going to be around for a 2 or 3 day period. So I would say the 28th, 29th, and 30th of June. The first thing that I noticed about this chart, if you tilt your head a little bit and if you look at the circle in the middle, the aspect patterns, to me, they look like a flawed diamond. So it's like this gem that's been squished a little bit, and that's very encouraging to me, because if you've watched my channel for a little bit of time, you'll know that personally I'm not the biggest fan of full moons and new moons in Cancer, because Cancer is a water sign and it brings up so many emotions that I usually have a bit of a meltdown. But with that flawed diamond in the middle, instead of the emotions being overwhelming, what I feel is going to happen here is that you're able to see something within yourself that's really valuable, and you're able to look at your own imperfections and to honor them and to even see the beauty in them. The other thing that speaks towards this being a really good, gentle, and positive new moon is that the sun and the moon are conjunct. Obviously, because this is a new moon, so the two sit together. But then we've got Black Moon Lilith also conjuncting the sun and the moon. So all three blend their energies together. The way I interpret Black Moon Lilith is as your lower self, as the shadow self, as your ego. That part of yourself that tries to sabotage you, that tries to keep you stuck a little bit. And because all three are together, it means that you're able to make personal breakthroughs, and that you're able to look at your own limitations or your own fears, and one, that you have compassion for them, and two, that you can love yourself through the process and you're able to find a way forward. So a new moon is when the moon is pitch black. The moon is kind of taking a time out and it's saying, do you know what? I'm about to start another 28-day cycle. I need some energy here. I need to pull some energy in, I need to recharge my batteries, and I'd like to think about what I want to do next. I want to plant some seeds of intention, I want to set some goals for myself, and look at the next month ahead of me, month or so, and be really constructive about it. What can I grow? What can I nurture? What can I perfect? What can I run with? And what is it that I want to give my energy and my attention to? It's interesting, because if you have a new moon in your birth chart, that often says that the person who has that placement is a pioneer. It's someone who thinks outside of the box. It's someone who listens to themselves and says, do you know what, this is important to me. Doesn't mean anyone else has to be interested, or I have to have permission, or I have to have a round of applause and a bunch of approval. This is important to me. That's more than enough, and I'm going to see where that takes me. So that's what this new moon does. It allows you to step back a little bit to say, what am I going to do next? I want to be informed about that. I don't just want to, go into the day or the days or weeks and just react to things and see what happens. I want to influence what goes on around me. So it's very much about taking your power back. The moon is recharging itself, so it is pulling lots of energy in. So it makes sense, right? I have all this strength. How am I going to use it effectively? I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to engage with things which are just neither here or there. I want to do something, and if I'm going to make an effort, I want to see a result. I want to have it pay off for me. So it's a very constructive way of thinking. You're being very effective. You're looking at things from an angle that says, if I'm going to do something, I want to get something in return. So the moon in itself, that's the way you feel. It's what you can tap into easily. If the moon is your feelings, then the sun is your conscious mind, your conscious identity, what you're striving towards and what you would like to be. So another way of looking at it could be to say the moon is your heart and the sun is your head. So the two are communicating, they're blending their energies together. So there's not a lot of discrepancy between what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So you're not at odds with yourself. All of your power is being channeled in one direction. So it is the perfect opportunity to set some goals and then to stick to them, because it's not like, a few days later is, what was I thinking or what was I feeling? I don't even get that anymore. The two work in tandem. So any decisions or plans that you make during this period, you're very likely to stick with, and you're very likely to feel the same way in a few days or in a few weeks. So ask yourself, what's next? Let's say, okay, let's be dramatic about it. And let's say, do you know what? I've got 30 days ahead of me. I'm not going to think about my whole life here. I'm going to think about the next month, and I'm going to treat that as if it's my last month on planet Earth here. What can I do with my time? What can I do with my life? What do I want to alter? So it's I want, desire, me. I'm in control. And not me in the sense that I'm being super selfish, but in the sense that I am just as capable as anybody else on this planet to make plans and to plan ahead. And because I've got this energy and the freedom to decide how I'm going to use that energy, I'm going to do my homework, and I'm only going to pursue things that I care about. So both of them, the sun and the moon, are in Cancer. Cancer is the fourth sign in the zodiac. It's a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are also about I am the pioneer. I'm the one in control. I'm in charge. If anything's going to happen, I'm going to have to do it. And Cancer is a water sign. Water rules spirituality, relationships, love, creativity, all of these unseen connections between you and the higher realms, other people, the world. It's the things that make you feel like you belong, like there's some sort of energy between you and a thing and a place. And because Cancer rules the fourth house in the chart, in the traditional astrology chart, the fourth house has to do with family. So Cancer can often be seen as the parent, as this person who's responsible for the children, responsible for the home, and responsible for the atmosphere and the environment. So how do I want to take care of these little people? What do I want to teach them? How do I want everyone to feel? It takes a lot of responsibility, Cancer. It says, do you know what? I'm the adult here. I need to make sure that other people are taken care of, that they feel the love I have for them, that this is a good, loving, positive environment. And I mean, that's great in the sense that Cancer takes a lot of responsibility, and it can manifest this wonderful environment. The only downside, I would say, is that it really puts a lot on its own shoulders. Because if you're going to try and control the way other people feel, even if, for instance, they are your family members, your children, your nephews, your nieces, your parents, and you say, I want everyone to be happy and I want everyone to feel the love. You can't really do that. Someone may have an issue with their health, or someone may be going through something at school, and they may not be receptive to that. So putting all of this responsibility on you and then saying, I'm going to try and control things which really are uncontrollable, can kind of set you up to be disappointed or hurt at times. On the plus side, of course, it's important to make an effort to say, do you know what? Yes, I am going to make you a sandwich so that you can eat something. So it's something that you need to play by ear. Cancer, I feel, is intense in an emotional way, which is good because you want the people around you to love you and to take an interest, and you want to feel like you matter. If you're around a Cancer, you're always going to feel that. But then at the same time, I am present in this whole situation too. I don't just have to, cook for everyone else or create a nice environment for everyone else. I need to create that for myself first and foremost if I'm going to be of service to anybody else. So I think during this new moon in Cancer period, it's important to remember that charity does begin at home, that if you do want to be of service to other people and if you do want to make them feel good, you're going to have to take care of yourself as well. And that's what I really like about this new moon in particular, is that you're going to include yourself in the family that needs to be supported and nurtured. And again, going back to the flawed diamond in that Black Moon Lilith, it allows you to take care of yourself even if there are things that exist within you that you're less than thrilled with. None of us are perfect. We all have our own little issues with ourselves. But I feel one of the most important things that we can do in life is to learn to love ourselves regardless of where we're at. So if you're not in the perfect job, if you haven't manifested the type of life that you always dreamt of as a child, you can still love yourself and take care of yourself. And in fact, I feel that that is key if things are going to change. Because if you're not in a situation in life where you want to be, then you can criticize and say, oh, you didn't manage that, aren't you a failure? That isn't going to encourage you to try harder and to do more. Most of the time people then say, well, I didn't make it, time to give up and let's look at something else. But if you love yourself, flaws and all, and you say, I didn't make this happen for myself, even though I really wanted it to work, and you say, I love you regardless, then it's that love and it's that compassion that is actually going to allow you to try again. It's the opposite of tough love. It's real love that says, I support you no matter what. And most of us, when we feel that, wow, I'm being loved unconditionally here, that's what gives us the ability to breathe and to say, oh, yeah, I'm not being judged and nothing is coming down on me like a ton of bricks. I can try again in future. So I love this because all of us here on this planet who aren't 100% thrilled with ourselves, we're going to be able to fall in love with ourselves. We're going to be able to not just tolerate our own failures, we'll be able to accept our own failures. And you may think I'm stretching, but I think even celebrate the fact that, okay, there are things in my life that are hard for me specifically. That makes me different. The pain that's caused me gives me compassion and empathy for other people who may be going through the same thing. Therefore, I'm the perfect person to help those other people out. Anything good, anything bad, you'll be able to look at with love and you'll be able to say, this is part of me, therefore I embrace it and I love it. Mwah, 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 mwah. Love it. Some people also are very results oriented and other people are kind of process oriented. And some people say, oh, I need to be super diligent every day and make it happen for myself and push themselves. If you're not succeeding on a day-to-day basis or you're not achieving as much in a 12-hour period as you would like, you can have compassion for that. If you're results oriented and it's like, okay, I wanted the house by the time I was 50 and the house hasn't materialized yet, you can have empathy for the fact that it hasn't happened, that you can see that you've really tried to make this happen, and you can give yourself the support and the encouragement to try again or to continue going. It kind of reminds me of Louise Hay. Whenever I've been in the worst places in my life where I lose compassion for myself and it's like, oh, what have you done now? And this, it's all good. And then I start to tell myself negative stories. I go back to these positive affirmations, and it's like magic. Like by turning things around and saying, I love myself regardless. I'm a special and unique spiritual being having a human experience. I support myself in whatever I do. It just makes the whole process almost seem translucent so you can look through it and it no longer defines you. It's so liberating. So then we have the Black Moon Lilith sitting at 8 degrees. Oh, the Sun and the Moon, they're at 7 degrees in Cancer, right? So I've mentioned Cancer. 7 in numerology is the mind and creativity. So it's getting creative with how you love people and how you support other people and yourself, but it's also creativity in a literal sense. So if you want to write some music or paint or dance or perform or give your ideas and your feelings some sort of creative outlet, this new moon is going to help you plan how to do that. And in the moment as well, it will support you in making those things happen. So you're a creator here. You're able to create beautiful things that are based on your thoughts and your feelings. The Black Moon Lilith then at 8 degrees in Cancer. The lower self is at 8 degrees, that's strength and power in numerology. And in Cancer, it can be this strong sense that certain things in me are unacceptable and I don't like them. So that tendency to resist ourselves and to say, no, I don't accept this about myself, which brings you to an impasse because one thing isn't budging, the other thing, the part that loves yourself, isn't budging either because that's there eternally. You get to a standstill. And that is very powerful because if it's at a standstill, you can actually identify it and see it. And you can say things like, oh my God, I really do give myself a hard time. Or I really do talk a lot of nonsense in my own head. And I really do scare the bejesus out of myself at times. How about I stop? Funny thought, right? How about I stop doing that? So it's the recognition that, wow, I'm really giving myself a tough time here. It's simply that recognition and the compassion that goes along with that kind of dissolves it and melts it away and says, I have a choice. I can either torment myself endlessly and go around and around and around, or I can take that power, that self-critical nature, and I can redirect it so that it actually works in my favor, that I support myself, whether I fail or I win or I don't, or whatever the outcome is, that power exists within me, and I'm going to decide how I'm going to channel it. The new moon then forms some other relationships with some of the other planets. First of all, it squares Jupiter in Aries, also at 7 degrees. So a square is when two planets are 90 degrees away from each other. This new moon in Cancer says, okay, how am I going to plan ahead and how am I going to nurture myself through the next 28-day period, doing things that I love and enjoy. Jupiter is good luck and good fortune. In the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, it's about how am I going to progress, how am I going to move ahead, and it's also at 7 degrees, the same way the new moon is at 7 degrees. So it encourages you so much in saying, express your creativity. You have so much of it, find some sort of productive outlet for it. It's really a positive energy in the fact that it says you have all this, rather than just letting it dissipate and go nowhere. What area of your life are you going to channel it into? And what is it that motivates you the most? And because Jupiter is good luck, if you make this effort to, one, get creative about your circumstances and how you can improve them, or two, how you can be creative in a literal sense, you'll have an outcome that's much greater than you could have ever expected. Let's see what else is happening here. We have a semi-square between the new moon and, I was about to say Uranus in Taurus, but it's actually a semi-square with the North Node at 20 degrees in Taurus. So the North Node is where you're trying to get to on a soul level. So what do I want to achieve? And that's very interesting because at 20 degrees in Taurus, 1 and 2 in numerology is relationships, cooperation, and Taurus is in the physical sense. So a lot of people are going to experience this as, how can I share my love with someone I care about, and how can I receive that love in return? So an actual person. If you're looking to start a new relationship, this new moon supports that hugely because Taurus allows you to take things that exist in an abstract sense, so basically desires, and you're able to give them physical form. So what kind of relationship do I want to be with? Who do I want to be with? How do I want to be open to receive love and willing to connect on a really intense emotional level? So it's great for new relationships because your head and your heart are speaking to one another. You're very clear on what you feel and what you need. So when you meet new people during this period, 28th, 29th, 30th of June, you'll immediately know on an intuitive level whether that other person is able to provide what it is you want and what you're looking for. So you're able to identify the right partner very quickly. It also means that you're able to take practical action to improve existing relationships with friends and family and colleagues. And then finally, because Taurus is Earth and it's ruled by Venus, the creative planet, you're able to find your voice, to take your ideas and your desires and needs and to give them tangible format through your creativity, through your creative output. Uranus is next to it. Uranus is the eccentric and miraculous. It's like lightning striking, you can't predict, and it's a lot of energy and power. At 17 degrees, again, it's 8, more strength in Taurus. So by pouring your love into things that you are attracted to, you're going to get an outcome that is very unexpected. It's similar to the good luck of Jupiter here, where I said if you do something, the result is going to be much bigger than you planned for. So dream big, basically. Because if you put your heart and your desires into following things that you care about, both these outer planets, Jupiter and Uranus, say that you're going to be surprised at how lucky things turn out, how well they turn out, and how you could have never actually planned for this. Because Uranus is the unexpected. So it brings something in your life, into your life, that you couldn't have manifested on your own because you couldn't have thought. It's beyond your wildest dreams. So if you can't imagine it, then you can't manifest it because you can't work with it. You can't see it, touch it, feel it, whatever. This is the universe saying, do you know what? There are many more things in this world, in this universe, than you ever dreamt were possible. And if you're loving towards yourself and loving towards the process, and you have this compassion and give yourself the time and you have patience to get to where you want to go, here you go. Here's something even better that you weren't even expecting. The new moon trines the midheaven in Pisces at 4 degrees. So the midheaven, it shows us what you're good at in a practical sense. Pisces is about spiritual connection and 4 is structure and security. So that kind of underlines the fact that you love everything about yourself because you are trying. Because you exist, it's good enough. It's not that the standard is lowered. It's that the standard is, if I'm doing it and if I care about it, regardless of outcome, then that's something I should have compassion for, that I should honor. I don't know if I'm saying this properly. It's that sense of being held by something bigger that loves you and the peace and comfort that comes along with that. That peace and comfort often gives you the confidence and the freedom to say, I will try again. I can face failure. I can do whatever I want because I'm loved, I'm supported, I love myself. I'm just going to keep going. The new moon sesqui squares, it's 135 degrees away from Saturn at 24 degrees in Aquarius. So that's interesting because Saturn in Aquarius is the outside world, the wisdom of other people, the wisdom of society, traditions, religions, beliefs, academia, educational systems. 2 and 4 is 6. That's an opportunity. So the key thing here is to love yourself, and Saturn in Aquarius is then a library that opens up, that gives you all the answers you need in order to take the action steps that you want. Or it represents the internet that allows you to Google whatever you need, the actual specific information that you need to affect change. So Saturn supports you in the sense that if you want to do something, that's more than enough, stick with that. The answers are available. You can always research them. You can always ask other people. You can always learn. Don't sweat the details. Those will come to you. The key thing, the important thing is to get in touch with yourself and to say what is important to you right now. The new moon sits on top of, or just underneath the rising, the ascendant in Cancer. The rising sign is often your default setting, and at 4 degrees in Cancer, it's I am home in myself. And that sesqui squares the south node at 20 degrees in Scorpio. So you've already done a lot of work on yourself. Emotionally, you have paid attention, you are growing, and it's all this past work that now allows you to get to this emotional quiet space, which gives you the time and freedom to make new plans and to pursue something else. So the chart is kind of saying that you're a lot more, you're a lot further on than you give yourself credit for, and you're a lot more resilient than you realize. So that your feelings are there for a reason. If they exist in you, they're not just there to torture you. You will be able to achieve them. You're this close away and you have a lot of control. And that south node is really responsible for this kind of flawed diamond shape. So the south node often shows us where we're coming from on a soul level, and the north node where we're going. And where we're coming from with the south node in Scorpio is emotional control of ourselves and the ability to say, I embrace you no matter what. And then with the north node, the top here is, I want to translate that feeling of emotional comfort and security into the practical physical world. So it's basically feel the love and you'll be able to manifest it in a real world sense. Pluto doesn't really connect with the moon, nor does Neptune, nope. Mars and Chiron, no. And Mercury and Venus, they don't connect either. So these planets that are being left out, we've got the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So your own personal problems are put on the back burner for a little bit, and you have a respite from your own negative thinking, which is like yipping at you all the time usually, and the volume is turned down. Wow. So there aren't particular areas, or you're not going to be distracted by little specifics. You're seeing the bigger picture. You can see your lower self as it kind of hovers over you and influences your life on a fundamental basis, and you're not distracted by situations like the bills or the relationship that didn't work. You have this philosophical perspective and you can see the bigger picture. And the fact that Neptune and Pluto aren't really included means that you see very clearly and you don't feel like you're at the mercy of these outside forces pushing you in certain directions. You get it's like you're put in a bubble of silence where you have a moment to think and to construct a sentence and a plan for the future. And it's that peace and quiet that allows you to really make amazing decisions and plans for what comes next. So it's you're being given a respite from your life, and that respite allows you to see what's going on in an actual sense, and you no longer need to believe it. You're able to redesign it, and you're able to say, just because these things have happened doesn't define me. I'm actually going to go in this direction now. Okay, so I'm just going to look at whether I've missed anything here. Nope. That's it. Yeah, so the new moon forms relationships with Uranus, Jupiter, the midheaven, and Saturn. So it only the new moon, your feelings and your identity, only connects with outer planets, which are responsible for the world, not your personality. So by feeling your feelings, you can change the way your world looks. So you're like a magician who's landing, who can wave their magic wand and create whatever life you want. So basically, it's not let the world inform who you are. Who you are informs the world and what the world is going to look like. Strongest mode in the chart is cardinal, so it's about you taking charge. And the strongest element is water, which is about connection and love and nurture. So really start out with, the most important thing for me to do here today is to have compassion for myself and to love myself. And that will lead to all these other things. So I really like this. Anyone who's having issues, if you are having emotional problems, problems in your relationships, if you're blocked creatively, by loving yourself, all of those things are going to dissolve like sugar in water. It's nothing. Wow, okay, so have a great day. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to order your reading with me. And the way you see this chart here, right? I draw up your birth chart by taking your date of birth, place of birth, and time of birth. And then I get a chart like this with the planets in different positions, and I can read the charts exactly the same, and I can see what your default setting is, what you're striving towards, what your soul mission is, vocational aptitudes, work, relationships, family life, communication, money, personal identity, anything at all. So if you have any questions for me about what job you should be doing or what's coming up in future, or what your strengths and weaknesses are, or if you have any questions at all, please do get in touch for a personal reading. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing time here during this new moon, and check out the daily tarot readings on this YouTube channel, the weekly horoscopes. And if you do want to get in touch, head over to gregoryscott.com. All the best. Have a wonderful time, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.